I'm going to give my initial reflections right now. I acquired sometime very recently, within the last 3 years, information on what was very protracted labor negotiation between people who worked with the General Electric company supported train system in New York City, and that particular labor organization, which at the time they were working with. This was a labor negotiation and a contract negotiation that took a substantial amount of time. As a matter of fact, it transpired over the course of a year, and there was litigation involved. It just so happened to fall along a specific timeline connected to 1918 and 1919. And around the time, on the 99th year, General Electric Company in New York City made some declarations concerning its solvency. I'm sorry, the state of New York. General Electric in the state of New York made declarations concerning its solvency. My concern was that what happened was that individuals and those in a particular leadership role within organized labor in the United States knew about it directly and agreed to participate in a illicit paradigm with an understanding that they could successfully leverage their position in order to acquire some concept of a form of conciliation. And in the course of this, allowed for intentional misrepresentations, not only of people but assets with which they were associated. We're dealing with the implications to this day. In the course of this, what happened was a effort to co-conspire with people within the United States government, establishment, people that allege that they have specific kinds of qualifications, up to and including experience and credentials within the judicial branch, as well as within other professional sectors, and or people that are supposed to be acknowledged for a particular kind of business acumen that we are supposed to see as a sign of their success and hence capacity to provide leadership, agreed to allow for misrepresentation and sabotage of actual nuclear facilities in the United States, as well as in connection with the safety of nuclear facilities around the world. And that this was supposed to be part of the leveraging and counter leveraging. Now, one could ask, at what level is responsibility supposed to be assumed? If one understands that the role of organized labor is, for instance, to provide a means of mediation between those in a managerial role and those not in a managerial role in order to determine safety or benefits for those that are identified as workers and hence are in a particular kind of financial relationship versus those that are in a management position. This is one way to understand the situation and who would be responsible. But if one understands that the role of organized labor was merely to provide a transitional phase to allow for a means by which workers were to be able to assume ownership of the means of production, including their own capital production, and how their capital production was in some manner connected to the various enterprises with which they were associated. This brings into consideration another concept of responsibility and accountability. Industrial sabotage as a form of political leveraging has its uses. But at what cost? And under what conditions? This is my initial thoughts. It's 11:02 p.m. on April 4th, 2021. In New York, it's already midnight, April 5th.